Hey, what's up, comrades? So I just finished Saga, Tanya the Evil Volume 2 light novel. It's great. This book series continues to be very good. Sometimes it gets a little confusing to follow, mostly because I'm doing audiobook style, and sometimes my kids are screaming or listening to it while trying to clean up, and people keep trying to talk to me, or I get interrupted, and I come back, I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. Part of the reason why is because it focuses on Tanya and her exploits, but it also kind of expands out to the Empire, and sometimes we get the opposition viewpoint, and that can all happen in a single chapter because the chapters are more focused. The chapters are broken up based on what's going on. So during that period of time, we can get Tanya's viewpoint, her superior's viewpoint, another soldier. We can get a war not a war correspondent, but somebody in present day, because this is all everything in this is taking place in the past. So we can get a present day journalist writing up about the wars or the war. It's a lot of that. So sometimes I come back and I'm like, I don't remember what point of view this is supposed to be from. But all right, we'll just hit the key points. Excuse me. So the book starts, and we're now doing the Dacian War. Remember, Dacia is the country to the south who decided they were going to invade, which is the third front on the war, because we already have the alliance to the north. And then to the west, we have the Republic. The Republic's the biggest front because they're an equal power. But then they also have the Anton Alliance is up in the hills and it's cold, so they're still working on all that. But the Dacians are I don't know what to compare them to. They're medieval. They literally have no air defense. They don't really have any artillery, it seems, at least anti-air artillery. So Tanya comes in with her crew, and she's we immediately have their superiority, and they just barrage these people. I think at this point, this is before she goes to she went to the war college in the previous. All right, so this starts off, she's already got her crew, she's already got them trained up. You got, I think his name's Vice, is her second in command. You still have that big boob girl from the anime who's her adjutant. She gets a lot more playtime in the anime because she's a hot girl than she does here. She comes up and I'm oh yeah, she's around. But Vice gets a lot more play here because he's just some dude. So you get a little bit of a switcheroo, which makes sense because it's a visual medium, so you want to be seeing tits. And maybe the manga changes the two. I don't know. I've never read it. Never planned on it. I always like to go to the source if I like something, right? So I'm not going to read the manga and then watch the anime. I'm going to read the manga and be this is great. I want more. I'm going to go to the light novel. Unless it's all complete, then I might go to the All right, but there's so much stuff to consume at this point. I'm not a kid anymore, just trying to get whatever I can. It's I have unlimited access to everything. So you got to be a little more picky, I guess, at this point in time. Anyway, so they just go and they kill the leader of the army, and then they go blow up some munitions factories at the capital, and they just completely demolish this army, and the entire front is open and closed within a couple of months. They just sweep that up. They spent a large portion of this book with the Navy, dealing with training the Navy to fight back against mages, with naval combat, with Tanya having an international incident where she blows up a submarine that was doing bad things related to the war, but they weren't able to prove it first. And so she gets a reprimand and a court-martial, but then the court-martial gets dismissed. Because everyone's she did a great job. I know she's the top mage in the whole country and one of the top soldiers, so I don't want to mess that up. Right? She's got a Medal of Honor, Bronze Stars, she's got aces, 5 names. She's leading this battalion of response people who are just crushing it everywhere they go, just crushing it. They single-handedly won the third front. And they want to use them to open up to end the Anton Alliance. So they're in the Anton Alliance, we're spending a lot of time with Sue, whose daughter is Mary Sue, which is hilarious if that was intentional. If not, it's also kind of intentional. Because I'm pretty sure from the anime, she comes up later as a villain to Tanya, or an antagonist, I guess. But this is the guy. Tanya fought him. I'm pretty sure she fought him at the very beginning. Right? He was the leader of this unit that came in at the very beginning when she was just chilling, being an observer mage. And now she got the Silver Star. She blew up his like team, and so and like it's funny because it's another area where it's like I remember the anime has a lot more emphasis on this guy. In this, it shows him losing to Tanya, getting promoted, and then they have like a conversation about what's going on. Or no, he has a conversation with he has like an internal conversation where he gets promoted about what's going on, about Tanya, and about the whole situation with the Anton Alliance like losing. And he talks to his daughter for like 2 seconds. He gets his like special machine gun, and then he goes to battle, and he sees Tanya there, and he's like, oh no! And then it's like. The book does this a lot. It's just like, the battle's over. We won. So moving on. What's more important is the political intrigue. Which is fine because it's a book, right? But in the anime, there was like a whole episode too that was dedicated to like this guy. And it's like in the book, it's almost like he's not important at all. Like he's kind of important because he's one of the like named villain characters or opposition characters that actually gets some screen time or airtime or whatever, word time in the book. But he doesn't get a lot. Like, I was like, oh yeah, that guy. I remember that guy from the anime. And I haven't seen the anime in like a couple years. But I remember that guy, and he's like barely in the book at all. He's like dead off screen. And Tanya's just like, whatever. For you, it was the first day of your life. For me, it was a Tuesday. That's literally how it goes. I'm excited for when she meets the daughter, which I'm pretty sure happens at some point. All right. So anyway, then they shut the Anton Alliance the fuck up. They do some naval training. She gets this stuff. What else? There's just some of that stuff. Oh, we get a lot of the Commonwealth. They blow up like a Commonwealth in military, and the Commonwealth is like they're neutral, quote unquote, but they're obviously helping the Anton Alliance. So Tanya like teaches them a valuable lesson like 3 times. Blows up their sub, takes over one of their ships, like, blows up one of their forward intelligence bases, like completely just decimates it, like just really giving them a hard time. They probably come up later. I don't know, because it looks like they're about to beat the Republic. Not in this volume, but in the next volume, they're driving that spear home. So then the next obvious villain is the Commonwealth. I think there's another, like a federation or something. I think there's 2 other countries they've like dropped. But so then we spent a lot of time doing like trench warfare, and finally like Tanya gets kind of slowed down. So like the battle with the Republic really shows not her weaknesses per se, but just like she's not like invulnerable. Like she loses men. There's a lot of back and forth. They have to be in the trenches. She's like going back to like have discussions. She's discussing about how to like that they need to retreat because their lines are becoming too long and the Republic's like draining them too fast. Even if they win, they're going to be like tapped out, and it's not going to be good for the troops' morale and all that. Which they finally do. They like they make like a strategic retreat, which is like excellent. I could see like at a certain point in history, you're like, why would you never retreat? But it's like, no, you got to retreat. you gotta make sure. I mean, the most important thing is logistics, right? You don't win wars without logistics. So if you got to pull back so your supply lines are secure and all that stuff, and that's what you got to do. And so how this book kind of ends is that, and there's a lot of like back and forth with people, and there's like a guy Gantz we get his perspective and how he grows from being like, oh, I hate this, I hate war, I hate killing people. Oh, there's a whole thing about the rebel or the Republic like ties in with like an insurgency group somewhere, and so they send Tanya in to like regulate, and they end up burning like the whole city to the ground because they declare like everyone, including the civilians, is like a soldier for the Republic. And it's like, if you're all soldiers, you all have to defend for your lives. Like, yeah, and they like kill some Imperial forces, and like, fuck you. And she's like, all right, well, I warned them. And they bomb the shit out of that. And it gets blamed on Tanya, but from her, and like we get all this information. Then from her perspective, she just like shows up. They tell her like, hey, you got to do this thing, and she's like, all right. So she shows up, and she's like, hey, you got to give up, or we're gonna attack you, and get all the civilians out because we don't want to hurt them. And they're like, no, fuck you. Everyone here is a soldier. Are you sure you want to say that aloud? And they're like, yeah, go fuck yourself. And she's like, okay, call the bomber squad in, and then the bombers come and kill everybody, right? So she doesn't have anything to do with it. She's just like around because of her infamy. She gets like pulled into it, which is interesting. It's like the propaganda of war and stuff. And this book series so far in the first 2 months does a good job of like showing different angles and different perspectives. Like when they're trying to figure out the mage unit, they ask like a bunch of different people about the mage unit, and you get like a lot of weird answers. And then when you get Tanya's perspective, which is the accurate perspective, you see that actually a lot of it was like her psyop people who are trying to like whittle people down to like the most elite crew. And so they just have misinformation because they were purposely fed misinformation. So it's very interesting. All right. And it's like, what can you really trust in anything about war, even more so? So But so the Imperial forces like pull back to draw out the Republic, and then they're going to send Tanya and a bunch of mages in to like blow up the capital or to kill the leaders of the army or whatever. So that's where the book ends. But yeah, and then we get like a short story at the end of just Tanya being like, I gotta. It's like after she got her Medal of Honor and got healed up from the explosion, they made her do like a USO tour essentially, and dressed her up in like pretty dresses and did her makeup. And she was like, "This is where I wish I was in combat." So it's very short, very cute little like thing, just to like kind of give you more emphasis on like her character. But yeah, so excellent. Highly recommend checking it out. We'll see if it continues to be so. But so far, I have not disappointed in the anime or this. Cool. Catch y'all later.